Thursday, students. Today I'm going to try something new and use the screen recorder to record a new book that I want to share with you about a woman in history, and her name is Sonia Sotomayor, and she actually grew up in the Bronx in New York and eventually became a Supreme Court justice here working in Washington, D.C. So here we go. Sonia Sotomayor, a judge grows in the Bronx. You never know what can happen. Sometimes the most beautiful moonflower blossoms in an unexpected place, on a chain link fence, near broken glass, next to an abandoned building, watered by someone whose name you might not even know. And sometimes the most amazing person blossoms into such a place as well. So it was with a little girl named Sonia. Her blossoming began with her mother's love and hard work. Oh, how Sonia's mother loved her. She worked night and day and night, as a switchboard operator, just so she could pay for Sonia's and her brother's private schools. She had never made it past the third grade when she was a girl, but she sure wanted her children to. They lived in a public housing project in a part of New York called the South Bronx, a place where most people had precious little money, and Sonia's family was no different, with only their mother to support them. So here's the mom, and here's Sonia and her brother. You see, Sonia's father had died when she was 9 years old, leaving just an empty chair and much sadness. But you can't give in to sadness when your children need to eat. This is why Sonia's mother worked, and then came home and cooked pork chops. To Sonia, this was heaven. Oh, how she loved her mother. So Sonia grew up with only her mom. It sounds like her father passed away when she was young. And the mom has to be mother and father and work and take care of the children. When Sonia's mother wasn't cooking or working, she was studying. She wanted to become a nurse so she could make better wages and help her children even more. While Sonia slept, sometimes her mother stayed up until midnight doing her homework. There was nothing she would not do to help Sonia or her brother. So at the beginning of the story, we learned that the mother had only finished third grade. So she had to go back to school and finish high school, and then she continued on to college and eventually became a nurse so she could take care of her children. I know many students in our classrooms have families that work in healthcare. My stepsister is a nurse right now. So yes, this is a lot of education that the mother did while raising her children. Sonia loved the world her mother gave her. Her mother and father were from Puerto Rico, and Sonia grew up surrounded by the tastes and sounds of Puerto Rican culture. A favorite meal was Spanish rice and beans, and she loved the big family parties where merengue music filled the air. Arriba! On Saturday nights, Sonia's family and friends would get together. While the grown-ups sat in one room playing dominoes, Sonia and her cousins played loteria, a Latin American bingo game. Sonia's abuelita, that's her grandma, would shout out the numbers while the grandkids marked their cars with chickpeas. Those are like little garbanzo beans. Sonia's family surrounded her like a warm blanket. So she grew up feeling very loved, and she had a lot of people supporting her when she was a young girl. And it's funny to read this story because I used to play loteria when I was a young kid too. So that's nice to remember that. And she was also surrounded by books, school books, library books, a set of encyclopedias her mother had saved all her pennies and nickels and dimes to buy. And when the schoolwork was done, there were her favorite books, the Nancy Drew mystery novels. Nancy Drew was a girl detective who was always on the go, solving crimes. She was unstoppable. That's who Sonia wanted to be. So I grew up reading Nancy Drew, and the publishers have actually updated their story. So if you are interested in chapter books at home, that's a good one to listen to. But then something happened that made her change her mind. When she was only 8, her doctor sat her down and told her some bad news. She had a disease called diabetes. If you have diabetes, you have to take shots several times a day for the rest of your life. So maybe she wouldn't be Nancy Drew, but that didn't mean she couldn't be unstoppable. Her favorite TV show was Perry Mason, about a court lawyer. So as a young girl, she found out that she had child onset diabetes, and this is something that even happens now, and it's true. You do have to take shots every day in order to live a regular, healthy life. But that didn't stop her. So she watches Perry Mason, and this is an old TV show about a lawyer, and this is what she says. One episode ended with the image of a judge, the most powerful person in the courtroom. A light bulb went on above Sonia's head, and she knew she would become a judge. Becoming a judge, though, is not easy. Sonia knew she'd have to get really good grades to become a judge. So while other kids may have been goofing off, Sonia was studying at her mother's kitchen table year after year after year. So she has committed herself to becoming a judge, and she's studying very hard, just like her mother did. It paid off. By the time she graduated high school, she had won an award for being the very best student in her whole class. What an honor! You can't imagine how proud her mother was. This was her Danya, her daughter, her Sonia. Ah, bendito, what an honor! Sonia's grades were so good that she was accepted at one of the very best colleges in America, Princeton University. This too was an honor, but Princeton was not the Bronx. Where were the subways? Where was the merengue music? Where were the people who looked like her? For the first time in her life, Sonia felt scared and shy and very out of place, almost like she was on a different planet. So remember, in the story, Sonia grew up surrounded by her family's music, her games, her abuelita, probably cousins, and now she's moving to another part of the country, to a very prestigious college where probably many people, she has Hispanic roots, and I'm sure many people at the time did not have Hispanic roots that went to Princeton. So tomorrow we'll continue the story and see what happens to Sonia and if she becomes the amazing judge that she aspires to be. All right, boys and girls, I hope you have a great day. It's another sunny day. I'm looking forward to giving a long walk to my puppy again. And I miss you, and I will be in touch when Miss Amarine gives out our Zoom code so we can do our dance party tomorrow. All right, everybody. See you later.